here with Benedict Rogers, the author of China Nexus. You write about the influence that the Chinese Chinese Communist government have on Chinese people and outside. What is the main threat of Communist China to the world?
I think the main threat of Communist China to the world is its campaign of influence, infiltration, and intimidation around the world. I think it is there is increasing evidence that it is trying to destabilize the free world through a whole range of measures, whether it's undermining academic freedom in our universities, penetrating every aspect of many of our economies, and of course its alliance with Vladimir Putin in his war in Ukraine. So China, I think, is long-term the biggest threat that the world, and particularly the free world, faces.
What are the connections between China and Russia now?
Over the last couple of years, we've seen Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin forming a much closer alliance. And it's clear that they're trying to build an alliance of authoritarianism against democracy.
And why Chinese government is persecuting Christians?
The Chinese Communist Party has always been hostile to all religions. It is an officially atheistic regime, and it is also opposed to any belief system that dissents from loyalty to the Communist Party. And under Xi Jinping, it has particularly intensified its persecution of Christians. Previous Chinese leaders in recent decades allowed Christians a certain amount of space. They wanted to control them, but they didn't necessarily try to suppress them with the intensity that Xi Jinping seems to be doing.
And how can we, in the Western world, in our countries, oppose this influence of Communist China?
I think we need to do a number of things. First of all, I think Western democracies, and not just Western democracies, all democracies should completely review our China policy, try to reduce our dependency on China. That doesn't mean stopping all trade with China, but it means making sure that we're not dependent on China, that we diversify supply chains. I think we should also be looking at how to hold China accountable, the possibility of imposing targeted sanctions for the kind of atrocities that are being committed in China. And I think the more that democracies can do this together, because when individual countries act alone against China, it's very easy for China to retaliate. But if the democratic world can, as much as possible, unite and coordinate actions, that would be most effective.
If Western world won't be effective in opposing China, is it possible that Communist China will start a war?
I think it's certainly possible. There are growing concerns over the threats to Taiwan. And I think unless we send a very clear and strong message to China to deter them from invading Taiwan, the chances that they will do so in the coming years increase. Xi Jinping clearly wants to leave a legacy. And I think in his mind, Mao Zedong's legacy was the creation of the People's Republic of China. Deng Xiaoping's legacy was the economic opening of China. And I think Xi Jinping sees his legacy, if he can achieve it, as the unification of Taiwan with China. And unless we make it very clear to him that we stand with Taiwan and that we are prepared to act, and that the consequences for China if they did invade would be extremely high, if we don't deliver that clear message, if he thinks that we're weak and we're not willing to act, then the dangers increase.
If he would succeed, would he stop there or go further?
I think there's a danger that he could go further. He's already set his sights on other parts of the South China Seas. And if he did take Taiwan successfully, I think the dangers for Japan, Korea, and other countries in the region increase. Not necessarily that he would invade them militarily, but I think definitely China's power in the region would be increased, and that poses dangers for other countries in the region.